Hey folks, how we doing today? It's me again, Shannon Fox here, Devoted Pictures 2 channel, and we're going to start off with a Joe Rogan clip, and I'm going to go ahead and let you know there are some things coming out, will be coming out over the next couple of weeks with all this J6 footage. We will get some vindication of the truth versus the lying media narrative that has been out for 3 years about this whole insurrection thing. I think there will be a lot of accountability that will have to be had. And I'm not talking about J6 prisoners. I'm talking about the Adam Schiff and the Liz Cheneys and the Capitol police officers that cried on the stand in front of Congress with their lies. Now that the footage is coming out from the J6, I believe that this whole thing is the biggest can of worms this country's ever seen, and it will be opened in full. Now, if you stick around closer to the end, folks, I've got a couple little short clips of Steve Bannon with a lady named Julie Kelly, who is a great reporter, and they are discussing this very thing about what is going to have to happen for this J6 thing to be handled in the proper way now that we're getting to the truth. I love it. I love it. Now, the Democrats are freaking out over a lot of things right now. They're actually in full-blown panic mode. They're doing their best to try to take Trump off the ballot, and they're even losing some of their left-wing idiots like Michael Rappaport, who is a horrible actor, but he's also a Instagram, TikTok sensation for some reason, and all he does on his site is hate on Trump and the whole entire Trump family, talk shit about him. Pretty sickening, real Trump derangement syndrome. Well, yesterday, in a short video clip, Michael Rappaport, of all people, says he's still going to call Trump all these names that he calls him. He calls him pig's penis and all kinds of things. He's really got a foul mouth. But at any rate, he said he may be forced to vote for Trump if it's Biden versus Trump. So you don't have to like Trump to vote for him. This may be the election where people don't vote. A lot of people don't vote for Trump because they like him, but they vote for him because they hate Joe. And that's actually what we need in this country. We need a lot of these lefties that have been brainwashed for the longest to realize whether you believe the lies of the left or not, you got to recognize Trump did a better job, no matter what the news is telling you. Now let's go ahead and get into this Joe Rogan clip, folks. All good stuff. Just truth bombs from every direction.
What's your take on this whole Trump trial? Because one of the wildest aspects of it is that every time they go after him, he rises in the polls. And, you know, he was at the UFC this weekend in Madison Square Garden, and he's showed up at the UFC before. And the response back then was a lot of cheers. There was some boos. This is a couple of years ago. Now, when he walked out of Madison Square Garden, it was fucking bananas.
Really?
It
Went
was,
crazy.
the whole place was cheering. He walks out to Kid Rock's American Badass with Kid Rock and Tucker Carlson walking in like the right-wing Avengers. And the place went nuts. He's on the screen, and I'm telling you, the 99% other than Bill Burr's wife, 99%
Well,
of the
Bill Burr's
people,
wife, yeah. There was that,
fucking,
yeah.
That's a Bud Light moment right there.
Yeah.
I mean, can you hear it? Oh, no. Give me some volume.
Bill Burr's wife actually shot Trump the finger at the match.
See if we can get some volume, because I'm telling you, the fucking cheers of the crowd were nuts. I mean, it was overwhelmingly in support of him, and it lasted a long time. I mean, it was a roll.
That team is making his way into the building. One of the bigger mixed martial arts fans I know, President Donald Trump, taking his octagon side seat for UFC 295.
That's crazy.
We got two title fights coming up at UFC 295 here in a matter of moments, live from Madison Square Garden.
I mean, you had to hear what the crowd sounded like before he walked in and then when he did. I mean, it was just overwhelming cheers for over a minute. I mean, just imagine a minute of people screaming at the top of their lungs. Yeah!
I love it. I love it. There's no doubt about it, folks. The left is tripping out. We know that Trump's enemies are terrified of this energy. 2 sham impeachments, 4 sham indictments, 91 charges. They're not able to knock his popularity down at all. If anything, Trump is becoming more popular because transparency is happening, folks. People are starting to figure this stuff out. People are starting to realize Trump's not the enemy of the people. The Biden administration is the enemy of the people. The deep state, the Biden administration have been so weaponized against Trump, and so many people, moms and dads standing up for their children at school board meetings, things like that, leaving the border open, have drawn the economy have all drawn lines in the sand for all walks of life, people, independents, Democrats, and Republicans. And I just want to believe, have lots of hope, that it will be enough to get us across the finish line. I don't see how they're going to be able to hornswoggle Trump out of this election unless they're able to keep him off the ballot. I don't believe that's going to happen, but I believe they're going to try all the way up to the day he gets back in office, and then probably after that as well. They'll probably still be trying to take him out one way or another. These attacks on Trump will probably never stop as long as he's president or applying to be president. I don't mind the contrast, the confrontation of all the media bouncing back and forth, left versus right. It's very polarizing. I don't mind it because of the fact it does give people the ability to look at both sides of a story. For example, what's going on overseas with the war between Israel and Hamas. Depending on what news station you're watching, depends on what kind of coverage you get. And I think people are realizing that. I think people realize now that all news is not credible. And that is one of the biggest factors in people changing the station, changing their mind, voting a different way, tired of being lied to. Like a lot of the blacks have said in some of these TikTok videos, leaving the Democratic plantation. And it's absolutely necessary, folks. It needs to be that way. Now, I feel like the tides are turning. That's just me, folks, but my opinion. Now, while I'm on the subject about Trump's energy is not the only thing scaring the hell out of the left right now. It's the fact that Joe Biden's looking worse every day with the Congress subpoenaing his family. The J6 information footage coming out is going to be damning to the Democrat Party and the media for carrying the water for all this lying narrative. And I seen today that the Gateway Pundit has examined a lot of the J6 footage that they've been able to get, and they're trying to get the rest of the footage that has been blocked, exposing videos of Ray Epps committing felonies. Now, so what has happened just since in the last 24 hours, since Mike Johnson has agreed to release his footage, Gateway Pundit is now petitioning Mike Johnson to release more information involving Ray Epps. I'm guessing it's other video footage that's available, maybe not directly inside the Capitol, maybe outside the Capitol, maybe anywhere in the vicinity. But we definitely need to get all of the footage, folks, not just some of it, but all the footage. That way we can get the Ray Eppses and the Antifa members and the bad agitators that were there to cause harm that day, get them handled up on in the right way. And then we'll be able to weed out all of the bad actors from everybody else that was just wrongly accused or accused of things that were no stronger than a trespassing charge that should have been adjudicated and time served and kicked out of court, all that stuff. So it is a good day for America to know that we're fixing to get some transparency and exposure to what really happened on January 6th. There's actually a .gov website on Mike Johnson's Twitter page that you can go to and see all the J6 footage that's been dropped so far. It is probably, I went and looked at some of it last night. It is probably going to take weeks, I would say, to get all this footage out, and they'll be releasing it different angles, several videos at a time, but it may take a while, like I said, because there's probably going to be hundreds and hundreds of video clips. It's all good news, though. Trump today is speaking live in Iowa here pretty quickly. It's a Commit to Caucus event in Fort Dodge at 4 p.m. It's over on the Gateway Pundit. Right Side Broadcasting Network also films this, puts this footage out on their channels as well, over on Rumble and Facebook and places of that nature. Folks, here's a couple short clips from Steve Bannon today with Julie Kelly, and they were discussing what needs to be next coming down the pike after the J6 footage has been fully released.
But I want to start with Julie Kelly. In this J6 footage, Mike Davis is going to join us from Denver, so we're going to cover everything today, including the southern border. So let's get to work. Julie Kelly, they're not happy that the footage has finally been released. Folks, I want you to understand that after 11 months in power, Mike Johnson finally gives us the footage. Julie, walk us through all of it, ma'am.
So let's take a little victory lap here. As I said on Twitter last night, we have to take the small victories when we get them. And this certainly is a victory. You have been pressuring House Republicans to do this. I certainly have. My first article about releasing the tapes I wrote in May of 2021, when we found out that at least 14,000 hours of security footage had been put under protective orders as court proceedings occurred for January 6th defendants. So this is a big win because, to your point, all the right people are melting down, not just the people that you see on MSNBC, but you see Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger lashing out, Jamie Raskin lashing out. But look, this is just the start. The American people have not seen this footage. We have seen some of it. I have access to some of this footage. I've seen it. I've posted some of it, but the majority of the public has not seen this. And that is why these people are freaking out. And this is just the beginning of the breaking of the dam here, Steve.
Yes.
There's going to be more footage released that not just show police helping people in, but the level of police brutality that day that prompted a lot of the clashes between protesters and police. There's going to be a lot more seen. And as I said, this is the beginning of the breaking of the dam. To the point that you have made and I've made also, we need a January 6th select committee run by Republicans. Put these people like Tim Heaphy, who was just interviewed. Why did Tim Heaphy cover up, Heapy or whatever his name is? Why did the January 6th committee cover up parts of their investigation related to the involvement of federal agencies and the FBI? Why didn't the January 6th committee interview FBI Director Christopher Wray? How can you have an investigation and not interview the head of the top law enforcement agency in the country? So there's a lot more truth to be revealed about January 6th. And Steve, you could see the response on our side on social media. This is a huge issue to the base, and Republicans are getting to see that first and foremost. This is a huge issue, not just the truth and the cover-up, but of course the 1,200 Americans and counting who have been ensnared in this abusive, retaliatory Department of Justice investigation. I was just in Washington this week. I sat in jury selection for another January 6th defendant, 478 days between his arrest and his trial. And watching this D.C. jury pool come through, the comments that they make about January 6th and the protesters speaks to not just the unfair trials that are going on, but how in the hell is Donald Trump going to get a fair jury seated for his March 4th trial in the nation's capital? There's so much happening with this, which is why House Republicans now need to take the next step and create their own committee, because the videos are just only one part of this.
Absolutely. Yes, not only do we need the video footage to be 100% released, but then we need cases built. We need people released because they're innocent. We need cases built against the people that helped create this situation. the people that actually incited the violence, the people that lied and prevented security from doing their job, the people that were part of the security that were not doing their job. Instead, they were giving tours while it was in the media's narrative, total violence. I've watched several hours of the video footage that has been dropped yesterday, and it's mostly pretty boring. It's mostly people just walking through the building at this point. Now, what all is to be released and dropped over the next couple of weeks, God only knows, but I believe the truth will set it all free. And like she says, the dam is breaking. It is just a matter of time, and all this is going to fall completely apart. No wonder the Dems are panicking. It is absolute crazy situation going on with all of that at the moment. Glad to see it, folks.
Be adjudicated. With Democrats thrown in, two things we must adjudicate now, must be done, is number one, we have to get to the bottom of J6, and this footage is part of it. We have to get to the bottom of it. Wherever it leads, have to get to the bottom of it. All of it. All of it. And you also have to investigate Nancy Pelosi's committee.
Yes.
This committee, I think there's brazen criminality in what they did, and I think that will be proven. Criminality. Do you agree with me, Julie? You followed this closer than any person in the country. Do you agree with me?
Absolutely. They have already buried evidence. We are still waiting for the production of records from the Secret Service that have now been buried at the Department of Justice, Department of Homeland Security, and the Biden White House. So there are still records that Barry Loudermilk, who is the head of the House Administrative Committee, who has been looking into this, he has sent letters to the Biden White House and DHS and other authorities seeking these missing records. Get this, Steve. All of the video interviews, they offered, the J6 committee would offer clips of that during their televised performances. None of those none of that footage has been archived or given over to House Republicans. Why not? Because we know we're going to be able to compare what was really said, or at least the context of some of these clips.
That's right. If you get the truth, full transparency, you'll be able to look at the statements that were made by, for example, these J6 Capitol Police officers on J6. It's definitely a can of worms, folks. It is in the process of not just being opened out, but spilt out, and it's fixing to get messy. I can't wait. Like, subscribe, and share the Road to Patriots. Everybody have a great day. Over and out.